This is my last request since I'm tired of it. Rebel baseware? Remember seeing the green glimmer of a Jedi lightsaber for the first time? It looked like the 1977 theater held its breath. A distant galaxy appeared. The Millennium Falcon's engines roared through the galaxy as the opening lines slowly slid across the screen. Back in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars was more than a movie. Collective dream. A dream about a boy who could fight darkness, believe in goodness, and illuminate the universe. Luke, Han, Leia, they became era faces, not simply characters. A faith that good can triumph in a world of fire and smoke. Those stunning frames hid stories the audience never heard. Filming days buried by desert storms. Two young stars' secret passion and lifelong wounds, flesh and blood. After more than 50 years, the Star Wars theme still moves spectators. Let's return to 1977 to discover 20 unusual, sometimes devastating facts about the picture that made sweat, tears, and true sorrow an everlasting cinematic legend. 20. For Souls shaped Darth Vader, a nightmare. Heavy manufactured smoke covered Shepperton Studios in 1976 like a battlefield fog. A huge black figure emerged from the darkness as the Tantive 4 door exploded open. The sound of boots on metal floors. Thud, thud. All steps seemed to freeze the air. For the first time, mechanical breathing hissed. Whoosh. Who? The set went silent. They watched more than a character. They witnessed an icon's birth. No one realized Darth Vader was multiple people. 4 lifetimes combined made him a nightmare. British bodybuilder David Prowse had a tall physique, broad shoulders, and heavy iron-like steps. Every step of Vader was slow and ruthless, as if it crushed the past. However, Prowse was substituted during lightsaber combat. That armor was extremely heavy, far too slow. Master swordsman Bob Anderson from the British Olympic team was called in. Anderson choreographed Vader's attacks inside the black mask. The steel helmet reflected the red and green saber glow like a demon's heartbeat. Vader then spoke to another person. A deep, gritty voice from the universe's depths. "I'm your dad." James Earl Jones' voice made an unknown character a symbol of strength and horror for a generation, even though he never donned armor or carried a saber. Finally, Vader died in blinding white after the mask was removed. Light. Nobody owned that face. Sebastian Shaw, old and feeble with wavering eyes, sought forgiveness he could never earn. One character, for persons, one icon, for souls breathing together. Darth Vader was unacted. He was a cinematic Frankenstein with muscle, voice, swordplay, and passion. He may have been terrifyingly genuine because of that. For Souls created a nightmare. How do you define Vader? Unforgivable villain or pathetic parent buried in his own steel. 19. Princess Leia. Casting nearly changed the galaxy. Fall 1976. LA. George Lucas's casting office had white lights, but no one knew it would change cinema. Dozens of young women entered the door, hoping to become galaxy princesses. Jodie Foster, 14, a blonde, intervened. Sharp eyes, smart voice. She talked authoritatively. Lucas shook his head after watching. Too young. Sigourney Weaver followed. Strong, tall, tough. But she had warrior eyes, not princess ones. Then Meryl Streep, a promising but flawed talent. The soul Lucas sought was still missing. Casting room grew heavy. Everyone was tired. The door opened. Small girl entered. Old jeans, white shirt, neatly tied hair. No big deal. Carrie Fisher, 19. Her voice quivered, yet her eyes shone like meteors. The world would remember her line. "Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope." Her eyes burned with intensity, yet her voice shook. Her inaction. She embodied it. Lucas turned to the producer after staring at her silently. "That's Leia." No drumming, no applause. From then on, Carrie Fisher was Star Wars' heart. Fisher was charming and rebellious on sight. She changed her lines, mocked her co-stars, and argued with the director when necessary. The princess refused to be weak. A sharp, caustic, tough heroine, she saved herself. Years later, Carrie Fisher chuckled and remarked, "I was just trying to survive a movie full of men." She did more. She made millions of girls believe women could point guns, give instructions, and lead universes by making Leia the first feminist sci-fi icon. If Lucas had selected someone else that day, Star Wars might have succeeded but lacked spirit. Only Carrie Fisher dared say, A princess doesn't need saving. She's the one who saves the galaxy. 18. The Golden Prison of C-3PO. L Street Studios, 1976. Anthony Daniels stood in the middle of the room, sweating under the lights. He saw a golden costume that would make him C-3PO, the galaxy's friendliest droid. The deadliest trap of his life was unknown to him. Daniels realized he was being imprisoned when the costume was put on. Each metal piece shackled. The last piece snapped shut, leaving him unable to bend, sit, or breathe. He remembered seeing the world through a tiny slit and hearing every sound as it came from a pit. While C-3PO's slow, awkward motions made spectators chuckle, they were very painful. The unventilated suit weighed almost 20 kg. Desert heat in Chizia exceeded 40 degrees. Daniels lost approximately 2 kilograms of water daily, often fainting mid-scene. The director yelled action, and he rose. Every quivering step and difficult turn was real. No action required. And flaw made C-3PO human. Behind the shining gold was a weary man smiling to show off his robot. Daniels vowed to never wear the costume again after the film. As for the sequel, Lucas stated, "No one else can be C-3PO. Even if it's hell, it's my hell." C-3PO wasn't simply the galaxy's best assistant. He was a human in metal with the breath of loneliness, the smile of endurance, and the heart of real gold made from his sweat and blood. 17. Once, in 50-year storm that nearly devoured Tatooine. 1976, Tunisian desert. Lucas intended to start his film with a dismal moment that would leave viewers breathless. A burning red sun over searing dunes as young Luke Skywalker looks out at the horizon. The crew arrived to find the hardest rain in over 50 years. Winds howled like desert rage. Wind whipped, sand became thick muck. Golden slopes were covered with muck and spaceship models. Months of preparation went down. After set pieces fell and camera lenses flooded, the novice director watched Tatooine disappear before his eyes. Crew members panicked. One said, "George, we're done. In the rain." Lucas smiled slightly and shook his head. "No one will believe this." He persisted. They dried every cloth, reconstructed every wall, and hand-scraped mud off models after the rain stopped. The sky turned gold once the sand dried. From mud and precipitation, Tatooine, the galaxy's driest planet, was formed in days. Dreams start on screen. Tatooine was a symbol of a young filmmaker who defied fate and a small crew that rebuilt a universe after a storm. 16. A small workshop in Venice, California, handshot the legendary opening crawl. There were no huge studios or CGI, just technicians crouched over a 2M blackboard. They pasted bright golden letters on it long ago in a distant galaxy. Instead of computers, the Star Wars opening crawl was filmed cm by centimeter. Using a 35mm camera tilted slowly along the angled board, words appeared to drift into space. The lens dust particle or motor wobble meant starting over. The team spent almost 10 hours some days to get 5 seconds of great film. "We operated like heart surgery," one technician said. Every movement had to be breath-controlled. They had no idea that tiny film strip would become a pop culture classic. Millions of spectators worldwide feel the same as those bright words appear against a dark emptiness. Their hearts race. Childhood recollections return. They know they're entering that faraway galaxy again. Few know that the famous world began with a board, a wobbly lens, and hands pushing a fantasy millimeter by millimeter .15. A Flash Gordon rejection nearly prevented George Lucas from creating Star Wars. Young director George Lucas, 27, had big goals in 1971. He imagined spaceships, lasers, and Flash Gordon flying through the stars. He wanted to bring that world on screen with light and music to restore his childhood. Lucas enthusiastically presented his draft to studios, but the guy across the table coldly remarked, "Impossible. The film rights belong to someone else." The door closed and the dream seemed to disintegrate. But Lucas developed his own planet rather than leaving. A modest San Francisco room was his writing space. For many evenings, he invented a world where Jedi Knights replaced Flash Gordon, light and dark coexisted, and faith was stronger than technology. He imagined Luke Skywalker, a dreamy boy looking at 2 suns. From there, a new galaxy formed. After Star Wars, people asked Lucas if he regretted rejecting Flash Gordon. Just smiled. No, if they said yes. I'd never have made this. After a devastating loss, he changed cinema. Star Wars sprung from Flash Gordon's ashes, an original dream that inspired the world to believe in the impossible. 14. Half the sets were paintings. Star Wars epic scenes were developed in a silent chamber in the mid-1970s without CGI or digital effects. Industrial light and magic artists painted the universe with oil and imagination on approximately 2-meter glass panels. Each brushstroke carved the infinite Death Star corridors in golden light. Each silver-blue touch changed glass into Cloud City sky. Each small dot became thousands of stars. Luke Skywalker stood before a painting with carefully calibrated light, so the human eye couldn't discern genuine from illusion during filming. Matt's painting, this lens-deceiving approach created vintage magic. Those anonymous artisans painted half the cosmos with shaking hands and remarkable patience. Their names weren't on posters or Oscars, yet they made spectators believe in a galaxy. It's not just paint as the camera pans through Death Star's hallways or Cloud City. People with high dreams in a world without digital wizardry have faith. Star Wars wouldn't be so spectacular without them. The audience may never have imagined human imagination could depict the world. 13. Chewbacca nearly shot. Peter Mayhew wore a thick synthetic and yak fur outfit in 1976 in California's Redwood Forest, where Star Wars filmed Kashyyyk scenes. By the sun, like wearing fire armor, he had to remove Chewbacca's head after every scene to breathe. But heat wasn't the biggest threat. He looked too much like a huge bear rampaging through the woods. Local authorities warned of hunters and the possibility of making a false shot. Lucas quickly ordered crew members in luminous vests to guard Mayhew. The People's Wookiee was led around the jungle like a king during filming. Once, Peter Mayhew laughed. California hunters frightened Chewbacca, not the Empire. Behind the joke was Hollywood's weird reality of protecting a fictional creature like a real one. Would you remain recording in the forest or remove the costume and depart that galaxy? 12. The Ewok outfits were mobile boilers to in California's Redwood Forest. Indoor setting, humid heat boilerized the air. Gorgeous vistas and the galaxy's prettiest furry creatures. Ewoks suffered severe pain. Without ventilation, the 10 kilograms artificial fur costumes caused performers to sweat so excessively that water dripped through them. The medical crew gave Gatorade like life-saving water to set participants who fainted. The crew created an Ewok recovery chamber to fan and ice actors after removing their heads. However, some young performers used it as a secret rendezvous to escape the director's attention among the heat, scorched fur, scent, and giggles behind closed doors. Ewoks represented innocence and bravery on television. They were truly warriors, not against the Empire but against their own horrible suits. Imagine becoming an Ewok for a day. How long would you endure in that mobile boiler? Share in the comments. 11. Yoda was once a rubber-masked monkey. George Lucas initially envisioned a small, lilac Jedi Master for The Empire Strikes Back. That a brave idea rose. Use a trained monkey, latex mask, and robe to portray Yoda. The monkey had a personal helper to teach it motions and staff holding in the original screenplay. The first test followed. After putting on the mask, the actor tore it off, flung it at the props, and fled around the set. Wires snapped, lights fell, and the crew ran in chaos. In 10 minutes, the strategy failed. A tech side. The monkey's smart, but no Jedi. After the idea failed, Lucas turned to Jim Henson, who created Yoda. Wisdom, serenity, and large ears with 1,000 years of experience. No monkey. Point 10. Tunisia's desert nearly killed the team. As Star Wars filmed in Tunisia's desert, the 500-person team entered hell. Higher temperatures than 54 degrees could melt equipment plastic. R2-D2 kept burning chips, while Anthony Daniels fainted in his metal suit after hours as C-3PO. Technicians covered cameras to avoid burning their hands. Once, a sandstorm ate the set in minutes. Sculptures, desert ships, and props were buried. Lucas saw his work virtually disappear in the sand sea passively. He joked, "If this desert could talk, it would be laughing at us," half joking, half hopeless. Nobody gave up. Rebuilding from sunrise to blazing sunset, they drank heated water like fire. Gold Tatooine frames startled the world when Star Wars hit theaters. 9. The Leia Han covert romance was true. A gentle romance began when A New Hope's initial sequences were filmed in London's set lights. Carrie Fisher, 19, fresh from home to portray Princess Leia, and Harrison Ford, 33, a reserved married man who smoked and rarely smiled on cue. Without a screenplay, they shared long nights of laughing, cocktails, and deep silence. The Princess Diaries author Fisher said it felt like a dream. They kept it secret for 3 months. Nobody on the crew knew. She wrote that we were Han and Leia during the week and Carrie and Harrison on weekends. They murmured little as Ford drove her through London's downpour, but their looks told plenty. The classic I Love You. The Empire Strikes Back was Ford's improvisation, but fans thought it was a character moment. After discovering the reality, people realized those lovers weren't from a distant galaxy. They loved in real life. Point 8. A snake bit Luke Skywalker on screen. Wet and snake-infested, Dagobah was the Jedi training planet. In truth, the set was identical. Real swampy woodland, hot, damp, and full of animals. As Mark Hamill exited the mud-soaked X-Wing, dozens of snakes provided natural atmosphere. However, one struck during filming. Blood gushed from Hamill's wrist after a violent bite. He winced but continued. The crew didn't notice until the director shouted, "Cut." He then flashed a small smile, force, or adrenaline. The sequence was maintained, so viewers don't know how real Luke's battle in the marsh is. Point 7. Lucas rewrote the script after an accident. Before Star Wars, Mark Hamill's sports automobile lost control, veered off, and flipped many times on a California highway in January 1977. The future Jedi's face was nearly damaged when brought to the hospital. Ruptured nose, cheekbones, lips. Someone doubted he could perform again. Lucas had a crisis. Luke Skywalker's face, the Force's symbol, changed forever. Instead of recasting Lucas, his accident became part of the story. He updated The Empire Strikes Back to include a wampus snow creature attack on Luke, explaining Hamill's true wounds. Hamill returned as the hero, and Lucas saved his galaxy. Look closely at Luke's face in the sequel to discover that light wasn't just forces. Man returned from death's verge. 6. Lucasfilm exiled Vader. Darth Vader's black armor wearer David Prowse entered a tiny UK interview in 1979 during Empire Strikes Back's post-development. Known for being frank when reporters asked about the conclusion, Prowse casually revealed that Luke's father is Darth Vader. One line was a galactic bomb. George Lucas wanted secrecy. Lucas was mad. The entire marketing strategy changed, and Prowse was blacklisted. Him and his picture were banned from official events, fan meetings, and media. Prowse was a shadow of his character at Comic-Con and Star Wars ceremonies while other performers were honored. After his death in 2020, Lucasfilm offered simply a brief condolence for the man who shook the planet with a breath. 5. Real lightsaber sound, not a computer effect. Young sound engineer Ben Burt crouched over an outdated 16mm projector in a tight Hollywood recording room in 1976. As its motor hummed, his microphone recorded a low, resonant drone like metal waking up. Burt curiously slid the mic along a live TV cable. Layered buzzing and vibrating sounds created something unique. The room echoed as he played it via speakers. Light but forceful. George Lucas stated one thing after hearing it. Voice of the Jedi. Burt moved the mic past speakers to simulate saber swings. Fast for high pitches, slow for deep hums. Pure curiosity and instinct-driven sound. No effects or computers. Star Wars' soul was that lightsaber sound. Real, enchanting, and memorable enough to bring back childhood with a hum. Have you produced the vroom vroom sound with a stick? Maybe we've all carried the Force inside, but forgotten. 4. Alec Guinness loathed Star Wars, but returned. The Star Wars script nearly made British stage star Alec Guinness, conqueror of audiences with the K-Bridge, giggle. He told a friend, "I'm doing a silly film full of lines no one could understand." He considered it trash for kids, but he played Obi-Wan Kenobi, a decision that changed his life. The 1977 film premiere changed everything. Obi-Wan became the galaxy's soul, and Guinness, its biggest hater, became famous. He hesitated but agreed to return for The Empire Strikes Back after Lucas offered a cut of revenues. Over $50 million in filming days, one of Hollywood's best deals that he smiled pleasantly when asked about Star Wars years later. "I don't get why they enjoy that movie. If they believe in the Force, I believe in royalty. 3. The stormtrooper hit the door with his skull. Ulster Studios, London. A serious scene. Stormtroopers enter Death Star control. Cameras roll. Heavy tunes play. An actor forgets to duck and hits a steel door frame with his white helmet. The team laughed, so George Lucas kept it. Famous mistake. That unintentional bump. In theaters, it passed in a second, yet fans worldwide searched for it. Lucas enhanced the impact on the DVD to honor the cute mistake. Star Wars becomes more human with that trivial detail in a world of effects and precision. People sometimes forgot to duck under the Empire's frigid armor. 2. A genuine fire nearly destroyed the Death Star. Elster's film storage outside London, summer 1976. Bright lights illuminated Death Star's shiny black walls. Technicians adjusted high-powered lamps as white-armored players prepared for the day's biggest moment. A small pop emanated from the electrical panel. Gray smoke spilt from wall fractures and spread quickly around the set. A short circuit caused the lights to flicker when George Lucas shouted to turn them off. A technician quickly pulled the main breaker as the crew grabbed fire extinguishers. The commotion resembled the Death Star erupting. After the smoke cleared, the left wall was charred, black paint was flaking, and the crew was smudged like they'd fought a war. Amazingly, filming resumed after a few hours. They finished the scene with real-looking smoke and spotty light. Lucas maintained. Star Wars viewers had no idea the wall behind Darth Vader had burned. A larger fire may have incinerated the Death Star and the galaxy. Every studio rejected Star Wars. George Lucas was a young director after American Graffiti's popularity in 1975. The Star Wars, a sci-fi epic he believed would change everything, was his thick draft. He visited every Hollywood studio, shaking their heads. Universal. Too odd. Paramount responded, kids won't comprehend. Disney flatly rejected. Lucas left meetings drained, cradling his script like a dream. He persisted and called 20th Century Fox, a struggling company looking for new ideas. Producer Alan Ladd Jr., after reading a few pages, said, "I don't understand this thing, but I trust you." With that faint trust, 20th Century Fox invested over $10 million, a huge sum for a kids' movie, and 2 years later, Star Wars hit theaters and launched the modern blockbuster era. Years later, Lucas laughed. "I don't blame anyone who rejected it. If everyone believed me, Star Wars might not have been a miracle anymore." From crude special effects, George Lucas created a vivid galaxy where every character became an immortal icon. Over 50 years later, the Force's light still shines. When the theme plays, people feel their childhood awaken among the stars. If you like behind-the-scenes cinema and little-known secrets, like, share, and subscribe for more legends. The Force's light is always with you, and we have more adventures in this galaxy.